Classic games that need a comeback. You know those ones that made you fall in love with gaming? Today we're counting down our personal picks that deserve a remake. No fluff, just nostalgia and good times. So let's jump in. I'm joined today by Saunders. Saunders, are you ready to take a trip down memory lane?
Ready? We've been planning this video for the last 7 weeks. This is well overdue.
We're going to jump in and talk about 5 games that we think need a remake and remaster, and note that game number 5 is one that is unanimous between us. It came up when we were making up the list before we'd even shared our ideas, and we think everyone's going to be in agreement. I know certainly you and I are.
Yeah.
But surely everyone's going to be on board with this.
Anybody that's our age is going to be on board with that, I think.
Absolutely. But before we get to that, let's talk about another few that in particular stuck out in our heads. And the first one that came to mind for me was Hogs of War. So Hogs of War was a PS1 game, came out in 2000, which is absolutely terrifying to me that is 25 years old. Was a strategy game that, as it suggests, you controlled a team of pigs, 3D art, 3D style. Think Worms, but with pigs that had humour. Kind of similar to sort of Monty Python level humour. You know, things like the purple team are yesterday's pants as you then fired a rocket launcher to try and destroy them. You had to move across maps. The difficulty used to ramp up really quickly. This was a game that my dad and I in particular used to absolutely smash through every night. This is one of these ones where it would really benefit from a remaster, and in the process of researching for this video, turns out actually has one in development, which when I saw that, oh man, I was so excited. Saunders, do you have any memories of this game at all?
Do you know that I have one memory of this game, and that was 3 weeks ago when you chose not to buy it on our hunt through 10 CXs for our Grail games?
Yes, which if you want to go and see that video somewhere on one of these sides of the screen, go check it out. That was a lot of fun.
It is worth pointing out, Roscoe, that there will be a little bit of a link and theme between some of what we talked about in that video and some of what's going to be in this video, because
potentially
gaming is very nostalgic for us, isn't it?
It is massively the thing that makes us go back in time to when life was just a little bit simpler and everything was just a little bit better. And this list is no exception. So, what have you got for us today?
I love driving / racing games, and I think we've been devoid of good ones for a long time. So the first game I'm sticking into this list is, it could be any of the Need for Speed games, but I've went with Need for Speed Most Wanted. And the reason I went for this game is, in my mind, it felt like the first game that had a good story around racing that allowed you to do the usual, customise your cars and get better and go from the bottom of the barrel to your Porsches and whatever at the end, but also with some story progression. But it also added that open world element first time round. And I just think, imagine a game like that, open world, online, with the story, with customization, with what we can do now. I'll give EA their wee bit and say that there's a scope for microtransactions. You can rip the piss out as if you want and make your money back. But and interestingly, 3 of the games on this list, certainly you know, each picked one, and the big one at the end, there is a level of arcadiness to them. And I feel as though we've lost arcade-like games in the last few years.
Yes.
Just games that are a bit fun and a bit stupid. Like, did you imagine taking Need for Speed Most Wanted online and having literally a team of street racers and a team of cops chasing each other across the map for hours? I could simply, I just think it's a game that, you know, what I'm saying is, like, it's almost like port Most Wanted into it Forza Horizon is. There's a vision there. And ultimately it's just stupid cars with stupid spoilers and blue flames coming out the back of it. Just
fantastic.
Let's just have fun.
Oh yeah. They did try and remaster this one. Like the 2012 version of this is a similar gameplay look to the original, but they took out the story, and I do not know why. Why would you? The story in that is actually, for what that was, it was okay. It was very playable.
The only thing I can think is that there might have been licensing issues with vehicles.
Maybe.
Because they were very ingrained into the story was how you progress. But I would accept Underground 1 and 2, I would accept Hot Pursuit. I just think Need for Speed as a franchise can make a comeback, and I think Most Wanted is the game that is most portable to current generation, is the reason I've picked that particular one. And I'm going to talk about this in this game and your next game, Ross. To me, this it probably will never go there because of Forza, but it just screams like a perfect Game Pass or type game where it's just like, I don't want to get and spend 60 quid on it, but if you give me it, I'll probably sit and play it for hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the type of game to me that it feels like it's just a fun game that you'll pick up and play.
It would be absolutely fantastic to relive that old one, but with like 4K graphics would just be. But speaking of arcadey games, this is also falls quite nicely into my next pick, which is the 2001 classic. Yes, it's still that old. SSX Tricky. Now, yes, I know that they brought out SSX games like this was technically SSX 2, there is an SSX 3, and so forth. But there was something about when this came out, I think, in particular, that it just struck a chord with me. So, it's one of those games you can sit on the couch, you turn your brain off, you don't really need to think too much, because, there was a story, but you're not really there for the story, you're there for just doing cool tricks. And taking advantage of the reputation system, which I actually really liked in this, where depending on which character you chose in the main story, some of them liked you and some of them hate you from the start, but depending on how you raced against them, could it influence how they perceived you, and they'd go out their way to smash you off the course. It was great. Like the EA big line of games, which I think from memory came out from between 2000 and 2008, those games were like a perfect snapshot in time of when gaming was purely and simply about the fun. There was no real grindy element to these. It was just get a couple of controllers, get a few mates, and just sit and muck around for a few hours. I don't know if you've got any familiarity with either this game or the EA big line of games in general.
You know exactly where I'm going with this. You know exactly where I'm going with this. I said to you this morning, we finally pulled the trigger on getting this recorded. Again, these are like the perfect arcade style Game Pass or EA Play Plus type games that like you won't drop 60, 70 quid, I don't think, but you would play for hours and hours and hours. It'd be great as like a package with something else. SSX Tricky was just unreal. It was, again, it's just a fun game to play. I did say to you this morning that I was not going to put Sledstorm on here because I've talked about it in that 10CX video, which again we'll plug. And ultimately, you and I both picked up copies. Spoiler alert! And shout out to Bumblebee Neosonic on YouTube for calling us out for pushing the price of Sledstorm up by buying 2 of the 3 copies available in the west of Scotland.
He's not wrong.
But these are just games that, like, I just think, could you imagine sitting there online with 3 of your mates just downhill snowboarding and taking each other out? Like, that's
what's not to love?
I guarantee you, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, TikTok would be absolutely full of people playing these games and just getting so frustrated that they've been wiped out. It's like it's like Mario Kart or Fall Guys, but on the snow. So the chaos, to borrow your favourite word,
chaos.
I am Professor Chaos.
The chaos around what made SSX Tricky such a good game and the EA Big Series such good. It exists right now in other games. It exists. It works. It's popular. The fact that we've both just picked back-to-back EA studio games suggests that there's obviously a reason that they're not coming.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And it has to. It's a shame because I think they're both brilliant, and I'm in full agreement. Like I wanted to put an EA big game on here, and I didn't. And the reason I didn't do it is because I knew you were picking this. Therefore, I had the chance to talk about them all anyway.
So let us know down in the comments if you guys are familiar with any of those EA big games and like us and want to dive back in. But let's not talk about lines of games and franchises and studios that don't necessarily make games like that anymore, because game number 4 from Saunders is a studio that everyone knows and loves, but they are missing this one title. The floor is yours.
I'm going to say they're not missing this one title. I'm going to say they're missing too many other titles. And I very rarely picked a different game But the reason that I didn't pick it is that I did pick up the series, no, maybe in the Xbox One copy, but an upgraded remastered copy in that 10cx video, having originally played it the 360. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm cheating with game number 4 here because I don't think it's necessarily a remaster, it's a sequel.
Ooh.
But Canis, Canem, Edit, aka Bully, the 360 and later releases, was phenomenal, and I understand the controversy, but it had story, it had updated graphics, it had interactive gameplay. Like you were like, I didn't want to go to actual school, but I was quite happy going to dissect a frog in a fake science class. Like it was such a good game, and it was at the time it was almost groundbreaking. The interaction they had. With the environment and the game itself and the fictional town and whatever else. And it was very much Rockstar poking fun at US high school cliques and the fact that in high school movies a little bit, I just think it needs a sequel, it needs a follow-up or a good remaster. And if anybody's not guessed, the game I was talking about as well was LA Noire, which is, I put in the same thing, it's not a remaster, it's a sequel. Like, I get that GT Online makes Rockstar so much money, but Ross, you and I are huge fans of everything that Rockstar ever made.
Even down to table tennis. Table tennis was good fun, you know.
Just make more. Make more of it, please. I'm offering you my money. Take it.
But no, you'd rather buy shark cards instead, because that's apparently what everyone buys. No, I thought a remaster of this could be a good way to figure out, you know, is there scope for a sequel? So I think I'll allow it because, you know, it's forward thinking, forward planning. So that leads us then quite nicely into number 5, the game that we think everyone at home is going to think of. And when they hear this, they'll be like, yep, absolutely. So I'm going to give them the title and I'm going to pass it over to you to describe this. Our number 5, our game we want to remaster, is the cult classic Simpsons Hit and Run. Describe this to those who are somehow unfamiliar with this game.
It is pure and utter chaos.
I am Professor Chaos.
It's like a family-friendly Grand Theft Auto Rockstar type game. Mm-hmm. It's open world. It's driving and knocking things over. I don't even remember half the missions because it's just to go ham doing silly things on it back in the day. But it's like, this game would have been perfect in this mid-cycle lull of forever waiting on the next Grand Theft Auto. We would all have sat and played for hours and hours and hours. Oh, yeah. And again, there is scope for doing the remaster and then launching online or other capabilities that didn't exist when this game came out. Ross, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the game as a whole as well before I do point out some of the controversies that revolve around this game.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought the game, certainly when it came out and now, I mean, I own 2 copies of it, so that kind of tells you what I think about it. Obviously, the full cast of The Simpsons is in this, so this is a fully licensed game. Like, if you're looking for the benchmark for this era of licensed games, this is the gold standard, this is the yardstick. Unfortunately for every other game, they're going to struggle to meet this. Reasonable length of game. There is a heck of a lot going on. A lot of it is not too difficult until you get to round about halfway, 2/3. And then for those of us who are, you know, completionists out there, it does actually get challenging. To this day, I have still not completed this game. Get to the 3rd last mission and you'll understand when you get there. It's absolutely fantastic. And yes, some of the missions are a bit basic. And yes, they're not that difficult. But you're in the universe of The Simpsons. So you don't need any more. It's just perfect. And yes, I know you're about to discuss some of the problems. And we'll get to that in a second. But this has got a lot of love for a lot of good reasons. And just, I understand there's been fan mods. And there's been back and forth of doing that on PC. Just give me it on Xbox, PC, and PS5. Bring it back. But, as you're about to allude to, there may be some things that in 2025 we may have to address.
We live in a sensitive time. And there is some elements of the game that would, I'm not saying they weren't controversial back then, but would definitely be considered controversial nowadays. Things like, and you'll have seen the clips on TikTok and YouTube of kicking Marge to the kitchen and whatever else. And is that going to fly? No. Is that allowed to remain family friendly? Probably not. The biggest controversy would be is how much humour has moved on. Like, I can safely say that I have not watched a brand new episode of The Simpsons in at least a decade, maybe more.
There is nothing good watching beyond season 14 or 15, bar the odd episode. That might be controversial, but
and for me, it's like, if you remake this game, do you remake it as it was 25 years ago and hope that you and I and people like us are enough to sustain it? Do you have to tweak it for a new audience? Which means that we go, this is not what I signed up for. This is the biggest pile of dog shit. Cue the Rock sitting here above me.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
Sure, I've seen something like Apu doesn't speak anymore in The
he's
Simpsons.
not a character in it anymore.
He's not a character anymore because it was played by a white actor, and they said it was racial profiling and that kind of stuff, which I'm not going to debate on this. It's just that is the reason behind it, is that they should have been played by someone else and it's a stereotypical character. But also Apu played a huge part in the game because you were always at the quickie mart and there's a lot of missions. So I just don't think the game can be made. I think we've missed a window, unfortunately. And I think a lot of it is just to do with the fact that if you make a new Simpsons game, we won't play it. If you remake that old game, it's going to be too controversial.
I think
ultimately,
if you took the game that exists and literally used the exact same audio, because all the audio rips are there, it'll all be licensed through The Simpsons, you really only have to take out the one thing with Marge, and I think you could pretty much take all of that underlying story and just use it again and don't change it. Because, and at least in my eyes, comment down below if I'm totally out of line here, I don't think anyone who's 10, 11 and 12 years old is going to be that interested in this as much as it's going to be people who are 20 years old and up, I think. So lean into it.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. It's no publicity is bad publicity. As they say, all publicity is good publicity. We know that's not really true these days. I guess I'm just saying, as a developer, going to take a punt on something that's going to have its controversials, and I do just want to double check something, because The Simpsons Hit Run 2003. It's actually newer than I thought. Developed by Radical, published by Vivendi. Do they still exist?
Vivendi made Crash.
So there's Vivendi did acquire Radical, and it was then transferred. Oh, okay. There's no excuses anymore. Have a guess who the parent company of Vivendi and Radical is.
I'm going to guess Activision, therefore Xbox.
Yes. Get it on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Problem
get
solved.
it on. Yeah, just make it happen, folks. There's no reason not to.
This is the perfect game. That I've said this about all of them, but like, put it on Game Pass. Just
make it happen.
Just give me it. Just give me it.
So thanks for hanging out and taking this trip down memory lane with us. If you've got your own games that you want to see remade, remastered, whatever you want to call it, drop them in the comments. We would love to hear what classics that you think deserve a second chance. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.